for Chris, everybody. Let me hear it for Chris.
Wow, what a terrific night. So July 2019, North Iceland. I'm sitting on the edge of a cliff with my feet dangling 60 feet over some water. In front of me is a Delarofoss, a waterfall. I'm about 25 miles south of the Arctic Circle. I am completely and utterly alone. Completely and utterly alone. You see, just 6 months before, I was standing in front of a judge, very similar to some stories tonight, and I was completely and utterly alone as he finalized a divorce after 20 years of marriage. She decided on another man and some alcohol. I decided to stay too long. I thought I was being strong and courageous. I thought I was being faithful, and I needed to stay here, even in a really tough situation. I remember the judge looking at me as he's finalizing the divorce, and he says, "Congratulations," with an exclamation point. "I hope you have a great day." I'm thinking in my head, you got to be kidding me. This has just ended 20 years of a marriage, right? And he goes, I said, "Sir, I think this is the worst day of my life." And he said, "Well, I hope that you can take some steps forward today." And those steps actually came 4 days later. I got an email note. "Congratulations!" Exclamation point. "Your grant has been approved by the U.S. government." And that's how I found myself just a few months later in North Iceland, about 90 minutes away from the capital city of Reykjavik. I'm in the small town of Bifrost at a small university called Bifrost University. Now, there are places in Iceland where the number of sheep outnumber the number of humans, and Bifrost is one of those places. I have very vivid memories of sitting with the students and watching these sheep outside in the pasture while we're eating our lamb steaks, and they're looking at us as they're obviously working through some of the emotions of the current situation. And so we're eating there, and I remember later that night sitting down with my Icelandic colleague, and we were talking about courage and leadership. What does this look like, and what does this mean? And I said, in the United States, courage means, facing forward and shoulders up and really moving into a situation, and, you never give up. That's courage in the United States. And he's shaking his head. No, Christopher. Not Chris, Christopher. That's not courage. He goes, "Let me tell you about Kjarkur." And he started to talk about Icelandic courage, Kjarkur. And he said in the United States, courage is moving forward. And he said in Icelandic, courage is moving back and actually changing direction a little bit. He said, courage is all power and you're going to do it on your own. And he said, Kjarkur in Iceland is actually moving back and being okay to leave and maybe making a different step forward. And then I'm thinking about that and I'm reflecting back going, wow, okay, maybe for 20 years I spent a lot of time just doing courage, even in a bad situation. So a couple of days after that, my other Icelandic colleague comes by and I'm madly typing some things out because I want to be good. I want to be, a good scholar. And he drops a set of car keys in front of me, bang! And he says, "You need to leave. Go and explore Iceland a little bit." He goes, "This is my car. Make sure you fill the tank up with gas, but leave. Go." Okay, all right. So I started to drive north in Iceland around the Ring Road. I'm going through valleys that have fog through them, and I'm listening to the Viking ghosts that haunt these valleys. I'm going by volcanoes, old dormant volcanoes that erupted thousands of years ago. I'm going by this waterfall and another waterfall and another waterfall, and it's like, oh, God, another waterfall. All right, Iceland, I get it. You're great. 5 stars. Awesome. Waterfalls all over the place. And yes, there were some sheep that crossed the Ring Road, and they gave me the same look. And so let me explain a little bit about how to get to a Delarofoss, because you're along the Ring Road, and then you turn off to this gravel road, and it's about 30 minutes down a gravel road. You see a 1-lane bridge that's really shaky, and it looks like there's a better plan somewhere, please. You go through some farmer fields that have just got 2 car tracks, and then you've got to stop out and open and close gates because the sheep, thank you very much. And then finally you get to the base of this hill where you've got to get up this giant hill, and there's a sign in Icelandic, and it's screaming at me. I don't speak Icelandic. It just says something, and I think I know what it says. It says, "This is dangerous. If you do this and you die, it's on you, bro." But I decided to go anyways, and so I pushed this little car up the hill, and I finally turned it off, and it's wheezing on me, and I walk down to the cliff, and I sit down, and that's where my soul just begins to erupt. I start to scream at God, and I'm like, "God, I'm never going to travel." And I hear very clearly in my ear, "Are you kidding me? You're in Iceland." "God, I'm never going to make a difference." "Are you kidding me? You've got 22 people that you're teaching to right now." "God, my kids don't like me." "No, actually, they just called you and they want to change the court order to spend more time with you." "God, I'm alone." "Yeah, but I got that covered, bro. That's okay." And so I remember sitting in that moment, and it got real quiet with the pounding of the waterfall in front of me. And I heard very clearly in my ear this simple, small statement: "I got you. Take the next step." And that's when I understood what Kjarkur really means. So I stood up, I turned the direction, I saw the horizon in front of me, and I took my first step away from the edge. Thank you very much.
Give it up for Chris. That was really good.